I am a talent acquisition partner here at AltaML. I have a background in sociology and also a degree in human resources.
What are some common mistakes job seekers make in their applications that can lead to rejections?
Make that application genuine, make that application real, and really not kind of be a one-size-fit-all application, because that really jumps out. And those soft skills really do make a difference. But like I said, be passionate, be genuine about your wording, and that'll really kind of help you stand out as a candidate. It might not be next week, it might not be next month. However, it might be a year from now where you just land that kind of dream opportunity that makes everything that you've kind of struggled with up to this point completely worth it. So just don't give up. The market is heating up. We're seeing it here at AltaML. We're seeing it across some of our competitors. Tech is here to stay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Career Path, a podcast that's dedicated to helping you navigate the world of careers with confidence and success. I'm your host, Aryan Panchal, and whether you're a student, a recent graduate, a seasoned professional, or considering a career change, this is the place for you. In today's episode, I'm excited to welcome Michael, a talent acquisition partner at AltaML, where he shares insights into the recruitment process, common mistakes in job applications, essential resume tips, standing out during interviews, and much more. With that, let's get started. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Aryan, thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to be here. I'm doing great.
Perfect. Thank you for joining. And yeah, why don't we start by telling us about yourself, your background, and what you do right now?
Yeah, of course. So currently, I am a talent acquisition partner here at AltaML. I have a background in sociology and also a degree in human resources and general management from Mount Royal University here in Calgary.
Perfect. And tell us more about what your role is at AltaML and how you found out about AltaML.
Yeah, of course. So, taking you back actually to May of 2022 is when I first started my internship with AltaML. I joined the team at the time as a talent acquisition associate, and I did a 4 month term, got extended for another 4 months, went back to school, finished my degree, and then joined the company in a full time capacity back in May of 2023. So, it's been just over a year now being a full time employee here at AltaML. Otherwise, in terms of kind of how I found AltaML, I didn't really know too much about the tech industry coming into things. I just kind of thought it was interesting, a good kind of opportunity to learn. I'm a huge fan of kind of startup culture. And yeah, in terms of like the day to day, I lead a lot of our pretty much our recruitment searches for various roles across the company, both in terms of student hiring, contractor, full-time, part-time hiring, you name it. I will be supporting the team and kind of bringing and finding the best talent to bring to AltaML. So
That's good because I remember I met you almost 2 years ago at a networking event. And I remember the first time I met you, I thought to myself, okay, this guy loves his job. And so, what is your favorite part of your job?
I would say yeah, I mean, we're going back to that event. I mean, that was actually kind of my first big kind of tech ecosystem networking event as well. But I would say kind of growing into the role, I feel like the most enjoyable part of my job is really just kind of connecting individuals with that kind of next big opportunity and something that really makes sense, something that really fits well, and seeing them kind of grow and succeed in their own kind of ways. As a recruiter, I'm really just responsible for kind of getting you in the door and kind of connecting you with various kind of hiring managers and teams in the organization. And after that, it's really up to you as kind of an individual. So seeing some of those connections and seeing some of those engagements kind of really turn into something is kind of the best part of my job. So
Can you walk us through a typical recruitment process and what are the key stages in the recruitment pipeline?
yeah, of course. So it really obviously it depends on the role and kind of what you're looking for and the level of seniority. However, generally speaking, there's usually kind of a couple main stages that we typically do here at AltaML. So there would normally be a kind of type of pre-screening call, or a pre-screening kind of conversation with myself or a member of the hiring team. These are typically pretty informal, really just kind of get to know the candidate, who they are, what their experience looks like, and what they're kind of interested in terms of joining AltaML and kind of taking on our new roles. And then after that, there will normally be a follow up interview with the actual hiring managers or the department themselves, just to kind of really dive more in depth into the specific experience that we're looking for, as obviously they're a little bit more of the subject matter experts in each kind of area of the business. And then there will be also a technical or kind of a case study assessment where we'll really kind of let the candidate kind of really demonstrate their skill sets and kind of bring everything that they have to the table, to assess them in a more kind of natural, organic way, a little bit more of a simulation in terms of what they would be expecting for the role. And then for anything more of that kind of senior level, we'll typically have them meet with just kind of our senior management as well, just to kind of ensure that there's some good understanding, some good alignment as before we kind of move forward. So generally speaking, we're looking at about a 3-stage process. We don't like to kind of keep things going too long. We don't really believe in kind of asking candidates to work before actually kind of joining our company. So but at the same time, we really try to ensure that we really hone in on the skill sets that we're really looking for.
And you must have worked with so many different job seekers. And what are some common mistakes job seekers make in their applications that can lead to rejections?
Oh, this is a huge one. This one, I mean, the market itself is so competitive right now. So it's difficult enough to even get that interview, get that kind of offer, right? So but generally speaking, I would say some of the biggest things that we see, just because the market is very highly competitive, especially in the tech space, is a lot of candidates will apply to multiple positions and multiple roles, and rightfully so, as you should as a candidate. However, you need to sometimes take that time to really make that application genuine, make that application real, and really not kind of be a one size fit all application, because that really jumps out and that really takes away from your uniqueness as a candidate. So I would say that's kind of one big thing. You don't need to be 100% invested into every single opportunity that you apply to, especially right out the gates. However, you should also understand that that level of passion and that level of excitement that you bring to a company, into a role, really does make a difference, especially in the interview process and the role itself, and your tenure with the company if you are selected. So really kind of take that time and view it as that longer term investment, I would say, is kind of one of the best strategies that you could use to really kind of make an impact during those connections with the company.
Hmm. And you mentioned something about the resumes as well, right? So, what are some key elements in a resume that instantly catch your attention? And what does that good resume look like? Is there an advice or any recommendations that you would give to job seekers out there that they should include in their resumes?
Yeah, so with resumes, obviously, there's a lot of technology out there that does do a lot of the screening kind of processes for a lot of companies, and that is completely fair. Even with us here at AltaML, we'll post a job and we'll have 500 applicants over the weekend. So it is a lot to look at. It is a lot to view. However, I would say the number one thing in terms of your resume is really make it easy to read. Make sure it's well organized. It's easy for me as a recruiter. If I'm looking at 500 resumes, I kind of want to be able to quickly find exactly what I'm looking for, find the relevant skill sets that I'm looking for, and you can learn all of that from the job description. Of the posting, or chatting with members of the company, chatting with various people in the ecosystem to really kind of gain that understanding. And that is how you can really kind of prepare well for an interview and for just kind of any conversations that you have with the company. So I would say, yeah, take that time to really just make your resume, make it look good, make it stand out, make sure it really kind of shows all the skills that you're bringing to the table. Because that skill that you might overlook is something that we might be specifically looking for. So
Are there any top qualities that you look for in a candidate? Because I know it depends on the position, but are there any common qualities across the board that you look for in candidates when you interview them, or they're in that pre-screening stage as well?
Yeah, and I think that's definitely where you can see a lot more of that. Kind of going back to that point about that genuinity in terms of the application process. If you're actually excited to work for AltaML and to join our team, and you're passionate about what you do, that really stands out in your soft skills, in your technical skills, in your ability to speak on your various experiences. Those are all things that really, really help to stand out, especially in such a highly technical skilled industry where you can learn everything online, you can learn everything in university. You can learn it from a million different sources. So it's really, how else are you going to stand out if everyone is kind of learning those same kind of skill sets? So that's where those soft skills really do make a difference. But like I said, be passionate, be genuine about your wording, and that'll really kind of help you stand out as a candidate as well. And then otherwise, I would say, take the time to prepare, understand what you're looking for. I know, like I said, that the market is highly competitive right now. um, but if you think about it in the long run, would you rather get a job because you kind of said the right things, and for it to kind of not work out and not pan out the way you expected, and for you to have to look for another job in 6 to 12 months? Or would you rather kind of really take the time to invest in that early stage and be with the company for 2 3 years, right? So that's kind of the trade-off that you're looking for, especially in today's market where the roles are so specific, and the companies are really looking for kind of specific skill sets to fill these roles.
Totally agree with you on the point that soft skills are really, really important. And a lot of job seekers out there, they try to focus as much as possible on these technical skills, but where they lack focus is on these soft skills, such as improving their communication skills, especially newcomers and immigrants. They have all the necessary technical skills, but what they lack is that appropriate communication skills where they can articulate their skill sets in a way that is understandable to the employer, right? So I think that soft skill is really, really important when it comes to the job seeker side, if even though they have the technical skill. And so a lot of people, like when I first came to Canada as well, I used to think that if I see a job posting, I used to think that if I don't meet 100% of the job requirements, I'm not going to apply for that because I don't fit all the requirements, right? And soon after that, I realized that it's not true. So, what advice would you give to someone who's in that position where they look at that job posting, but they see that, okay, I don't meet that 100% job requirements? So, what advice would you give to those groups of people?
Yeah, definitely. So that's a really good question. It's a very fine line, to kind of say the least. Like I said, and that's kind of where it comes down to your preparation and your research before you kind of hit these stages, right? Some postings will outright say that we're looking for someone who specializes in large language models, for example. If that's posted directly in the posting that they're looking for that, and that might be something that you're looking to gain as a skill moving forward, maybe not the best fit. If it's something that in the job posting where it's saying that knowledge of large language models is a good add or a good addition or a good bonus, then maybe that's something that you can apply to, and you'll understand that that's an opportunity where that's not required for the role itself, but something that you can actually learn and develop in. So I would say, always take the time to really dig into the company, understand the role and kind of what the company is looking for first. Otherwise, I would say, if you think that you're a good fit for any role, I would apply anyways, but understand that, some of these roles are very niche and they are very specific in terms of the projects and the scope and the kind of skill sets that companies are looking for, particularly for, like I said, that project or that engagement or whatever it may be. So.
Thank you for sharing that. And do you have some tips for job seekers out there or on networking? And what is the importance of networking for job seekers in your opinion?
Yeah, so networking is huge. I know networking is one of those things that I think has a really, not necessarily a negative bias around it, but there's a lot of bias around networking. So, it's not about how many people you have on LinkedIn. It's not about you being able to name drop the CEO of Google or whatever it may be. Networking in its truest sense and where you're going to get the most value out of networking is when you're actually making genuine connections with people that you're actually networking with. So whether that be sharing your story, whether that be, asking about a product that a company is working on, asking about their goals and their missions, that's how you'll really be able to grow kind of some of these more organic relationships. And that's how you really build that true network, as opposed to going to a networking event and just adding as many people as you can on LinkedIn and then never talking to any of them ever again. So I would definitely say there's a lot of value, especially for job seekers. A lot of tech companies, like I said, there's not a lot of roles out there. It is starting to pick up, I would definitely say. But a lot of these companies, my job included, my job is to develop pipelines of talent that we're ready to bring on at any given moment. So if we, for example, needed a great host to hire, then I would contact my colleague Aryan. You know what I mean? So that way, we don't have to go through the time of posting to the market, reviewing applications. So that's where your network can really, really come in handy. But it's the most like I said, you're going to get the most value out of utilizing that network through that more genuine and kind of organic sense, as opposed to just asking everyone on LinkedIn if they're hiring.
And I'm pretty sure that you must be getting thousands of messages from job seekers on LinkedIn saying that, oh, hi, my name is Bob or my name is Aryan. I'm looking for a job. Can you please hire me or can you please refer me? And so what advice would you give to someone who's using those strategies on LinkedIn where they're messaging recruiters directly? And I want to understand it from a point of the recruiter because they get thousands of messages, right? So what advice would you give to someone who's utilizing that strategy in terms of LinkedIn messaging?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There is LinkedIn has a few really great tools on there now as well to kind of enhance those initial message outreaches. However, I would say once again, it really just comes down to the purpose behind why you're reaching out to that person. That's something that really stands out in your message. If you're sending me your resume, asking me for a reference, telling me about all your experience, I can probably assume that you've done the same to 100 other recruiters. But if you're coming to me and saying, hey, I know this person at AltaML, or I heard AltaML is working on this kind of project. I saw that the AltaML team is really, really growing. Would love to kind of learn more and, understand how I might kind of see myself at AltaML. That's something that really stands out and really something that jumps out and really something that will make you stand out a little bit more, especially in that initial outreach. But like I said, be respectful on LinkedIn. Recruiters are busy. You kind of hit it right on the head. I get messages every day. So I reply to the ones that I can, but if I sometimes I can't, you know what I mean? So that's where, we're all humans as well. And we all understand that. And that's how, once again, you can kind of really establish that more organic and kind of genuine relationship with recruiters and with hiring partners and companies and whatever it may be. And one kind of final point there, I guess, is really understand as well that each connection that you make, each conversation you have, it might not lead to an opportunity or a job offer tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now. It might not even lead to a job offer a year from now. That's not the point of networking. And if you're going in with that mindset that you're only going to network to get a job offer, that's where you can really kind of combine with the rest of everyone else who's also kind of doing that, right? So establishing these networks and establishing these kind of connections is, like I said, more of that kind of long-term game and long-term investment to really, it might be 5 years from now where I just have this perfect opportunity. You might happen to leave a job at the exact same time, and maybe it's just a really easy kind of seamless transition. So
I love that because I tell people that networking is not about finding a job or finding a referral. And everyone has that mindset that, oh, if I network with someone, for finding a job or it's for finding a referral. But it's not at all about that. Networking is all about building relationships, as you said. And if you want to stand out as well as a job seeker and you're messaging a recruiter directly saying that, oh, can you refer me to this position, or I want to have a conversation with you because I want to get hired at this company, thousands of other people are messaging you the same thing as well. So taking putting in the time and effort to start building that relationship is really important. And again, as you said, you might not see the results maybe in 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, but if you keep at it and if you build that relationship with someone, at the end of the day it's going to benefit you because you are going to stay on top of the recruiter's mind, right? So networking is all about building relationships, and so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
And now moving on to interview prep, and talking more about when you have screened all these resumes and picked a few candidates for the interview. Now, what can job seekers do to stand out in interviews?
Yeah, so in terms of interviews, I feel like there's two sides to it. So I would say prepare as much as best you can. Ask the recruiter for information leading up to the interview. Ask the hiring partners what to expect. So that way, when you're coming into the interview, you're fully comfortable. You understand what's going to happen, what kind of things you need to prepare, if anything, what you should be prepared to speak on, certain things like that. That will really kind of hone in on the role and really kind of magnify the actual skills that you have, and really kind of demonstrate it to the team that I have the skills that you're looking for. Um, so using things like Interview Pal, for example, could be a great tool in terms of preparation, as it can really help you rehearse and really help you understand, just the level of proficiency that you're speaking with. For a lot of interviews, I know they're nerve wracking for a lot of people. A lot of people get very nervous, but the only way you can kind of work around that is through your preparation and really being confident in what you're speaking on. And the only way you can kind of get there is through that preparation process. So I would say that preparation leading up to an interview is huge. And then in the interview itself, it's understanding that yes, you might be being interviewed for the role itself, but you should be also aware that you're interviewing the company to see if it's a good fit for you. And I think that side of things, especially in this market, is overlooked a lot from a candidate perspective, because everyone just wants to get a job or get that offer, right? So but once again, if you're kind of going through the interview process and you're seeing from the companies that maybe that's not where you want to be, I would suggest personally to keep interviewing or to ask additional questions. And that's kind of where, during those interview periods when they ask you if you have any other questions for the team, take advantage of that and really, get all the information that you need. Where, if you were to commit to this place for the next 2, 3, 5 years, you're not being blindsided by anything you're kind of getting into, and you know exactly what you're signing up for. Very similar to kind of the interview itself and kind of understanding what's going to happen in the interview. So.
Yeah, I think preparing is one of the most important things before an interview. And for context, Michael mentioned Interview Pal. So Interview Pal is an AI-powered mock interview practice platform that helps job seekers improve their interviewing skills through personalized and real-time feedback. And this is a startup that I am creating in partnership with AltaML. So if you want to use Interview Pal, we'll have the link below as well. So feel free to use Interview Pal to practice your interview skills. And so, do you have any stories of maybe an amazing interview performance or any amazing candidate that you came across, and what made that candidate or what made that interview performance memorable?
Yeah, so I don't really have anything kind of, no true stories in particular. However, once again, I think it really comes down to, during that interview, can I sense why you actually want to be here, why you actually want to fill this role? And obviously, like I said, everyone wants that job offer. Everyone has bills to pay, stuff like that. But if you can kind of come in and really demonstrate to me why AltaML as a product owner is exactly why the next step in your career and how it's going to take you from A to B, that's going to really stand out in your interview, regardless of your technical skill sets and your knowledge and your proficiency in the role itself. So, having that passion and that understanding is one thing, but also understand that, from a company perspective, we are looking for certain skill sets in every interaction. So.
And I think one of the common mistakes that I have seen that job seekers make is that they're not curious enough about the company, and they just focus on getting that job, as you mentioned, right? And I have noticed, and I've sat in a few interviews as well, and I've noticed that whenever someone asks them, do you have any questions for us, a lot of these job seekers, they don't ask questions. And I think that is one of the opportunities where you can shine and show your curiosity about that you're interested in that particular company, and you're not just here to just land that job, right? But you're genuinely interested and invested in what that company is doing. And I think that's one key thing that a lot of job seekers make the mistake of not doing. And I think if you get an opportunity, ask questions and make questions beforehand as well, and prepare those questions beforehand. And then when you get the opportunity, just ask those questions and be curious. And that's what's lacking right now.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with you. It's like I said, it's a great opportunity to, understand what the company is all about and ask any kind of piece for any kind of additional information that you might need. But it's also that kind of really good opportunity to just show that level of engagement and really stand out from everyone else who's going to ask about a hybrid work environment and going to ask about what the salary is going to be. And those are all very, very important pieces. But like I said, those should be more about the contract and kind of the job offer itself, as opposed to your genuine level of interest in the company and the role. So,
Mhm. And so, are there any resources or strategies that you would recommend for staying updated and competitive in the job market for these job seekers?
I would say upskilling is huge. We live in a technical society where new skills are coming out every couple of years. 5 years ago, generative AI wasn't even a thing, and now if you look at it, everyone kind of seems to be doing some type of generative AI project. Keeping up to date with market trends and seeing what other people are working on and the type of projects and the type of skill sets that are arising, I think those are all huge. And just that idea of continuous learning is absolutely huge for job seekers, for companies, for the tech industry as a whole. If you want to be part of tech, you have to be willing to continuously learn and develop yourself as a candidate. So I think that would be one huge thing. Otherwise, understanding your worth and kind of the skills that you do bring to the table, I think is also huge as well. Like I said, everyone can learn every technical skill in the book online these days, but how else are you going to bring that? How else are you going to demonstrate that? And how else are you going to show why you're the best candidate in particular? So just understanding that and having that context in the back of your mind will help you kind of craft those answers and really kind of help you put together a really good cover letter or a really good resume, for example.
And so, one final question for you, Michael. What final piece of advice would you give to someone who is currently struggling with a job search right now?
If there was one piece of advice I could give right now, I would say just don't give up. It's a tough market as it is, especially if you're trying to be in the tech in such a competitive environment. But things are getting better. So stay confident, stay upbeat, stay positive. Keep trying and keep networking and keep improving. Right. So it's all kind of about that process. And if you're able to, once again, I said, it might not be next week, it might not be next month. However, it might be a year from now where you just land that kind of dream opportunity that makes everything that you've kind of struggled with up to this point completely worth it. So just don't give up. The market is heating up. We're seeing it here at AltaML. We're seeing it across some of our competitors. It's tech is here to stay. So
I love that advice. Keep trying, keep improving, and don't give up. I think that's really essential. And yeah, thank you for sharing that, Michael. And yeah, and thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing all the insights. I think this was super helpful.
of course, no problem at all, Aryan. Happy to be here, and once again, happy to support people as best as I can. So
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Michael.
awesome. Take care. Have a great day.